Hello and welcome to another review of a film that I've seen on Mubi. This time I'm reviewing the film That Kind of Summer, directed by Denis Coté. So this film is about a retreat for three hypersexualized women. And overall, I did find it quite engaging. It's 2.25 hours long, but it did keep me engaged throughout the film. However, the more that the film progressed, and especially in thinking about the film afterwards, the more I have some pretty major problems with this film. To say some positive things about it, I really liked the camera work. We start with the camera very close to faces. We get no perspective of where the people that we're seeing are in relation to the room that they're in or the other people. And it does feel quite claustrophobic, and I guess it does make us feel uncomfortable in the way that you might feel when arriving in a rehab type situation. When the camera does move back, the camera moves a lot and it doesn't cut, it literally shifts between people and it shakes a lot. And so it does give the film a kind of documentary realist feel. And I wasn't really sure about it at first, but the more the film progressed, the more the camera work won me over, and I think this was very effectively filmed. The three actors that play the women in the retreat are excellent. I thought they played the parts really well and convincingly. But that's about as far as I can go in saying really positive things about the film. As I say, I did find this film majorly problematic. Let's start with what I think this film is about. It makes it clear that these women are not in a rehab or treatment situation. And the overall message seems to be, as far as I can tell, the realization that there is no normal in terms of sexuality and that perhaps these girls are normal in their own way. Now, in itself, I think this is a really interesting theme to explore, but the film really fails in this goal. Firstly, it's really not clear what the purpose of this program is. It says it's not treatment, it's not rehab, but it's a very strange program. It's unclear whether the staff are actually helping the women or not, or whether the staff have as many problems as the women, and there's really poor boundaries between the staff and the women. The women are left by themselves a lot, and it's not clear that very much actually happens in this retreat. They all get 24 hours off at one point, which is really strange. Although they say it's not a rehab, it does feel like if you were in a treatment program for drug addiction, that after a couple of weeks you might be let out for 24 hours in order to take drugs, to have a break from the program, which would be absurd. So I really don't understand what the purpose of the 24-hour break is. And given the issues that these women face, the presence of a man in the situation as a kind of support worker just feels problematic and feels like, why would you do that? It doesn't feel like the male presence actually brings anything to the program. So I wasn't really clear on what this program was about, and in the end it didn't really feel like a safe space for these women to explore their issues. Two of the women clearly have deep trauma, but one of the women, Geisha, we don't have any indication of trauma, and her kind of closing line is, "I just like sex." And it just feels like this is so much operating at a surface level that nothing deeper is really explored beyond their surface hypersexuality. The male support worker, Sammy, says that he wants to get to know other parts of the girls, but there's not really any time spent exploring this. And it's only really in the last 30 minutes that we see the girls bonding outside of their sexuality. But I didn't find this convincing because it's done in a very kind of obvious and unsophisticated way. I do feel that the main focus of this film is the hypersexuality, that there is no real deeper meaning to the film, that it actually is reveling in the women's sexuality in almost a gratuitous way. And if I'm right that the film is suggesting that these women are normal in their own way, I just don't find it convincing. Even Geisha, the one who says I just like sex, the scene with the football team, to imply that it's okay that each member of the football team goes into the woods and has sex with her without any deeper exploration is really problematic. I'm not really convinced at all in the suggestion that these women don't have dysfunctional attitudes towards sex and that they don't need help. I'd be interested and I'm open to an exploration of that, but the film never gets anywhere near that level of subtlety. I think this is typified by the rope scene, which, to be honest, I just found gratuitous. Technically, I think the scene is excellent. It's a really visceral depiction of a rope bondage scene, and it really convincingly portrays the kind of mixture of pain and pleasure, and it's very evocative. But I'm not really convinced that it's necessary. It's long, and I just don't see what purpose it serves beyond being almost titillating. I've been thinking about the film Pleasure, directed by Ninja Thyberg, which I also reviewed on this channel. I think it makes quite an interesting companion piece. It's similarly explicit and sexual, but it's much more successful in addressing its theme and having much deeper meanings beyond the hypersexuality, if you like. So in conclusion, this film, it kept me engaged, but I was disappointed that the film fails to take me anywhere that felt interesting by its end. And more than that, I think that the film is deeply problematic in glamorizing the women's hypersexuality without any real deeper exploration. Next time I'm reviewing the film The African Desperate, directed by Martine Sims. See you next time.